I'm Eric.
And I'm Jaime.
And this is Horrorscope, a podcast for people who love horror movies.
And people who want to love them. Merry Christmas, you spooky chickens. The episode today is a Christmas gift from Eric to me that I forced him to give me because a few months ago I cajoled him into watching Twilight and using our format. Yes, you heard that right. We are watching the hit 2008 film Twilight using our format. There's no trigger warnings and no content warnings, so you're not going to hear from me in the second half. But we do talk a little bit about abusive relationships after the second half of the episode. So heads up if that's something you need to be careful about. I did the research for this one, so buckle in. And thank you again for humoring me, Eric. And happy birthday to Eric. It's his birthday. Message us on Instagram and say happy birthday, Eric. And thank you for putting up with me. We hope you are all hanging in there and finding some joy somehow this holiday season. And if you aren't, at least enjoy some shenanigans on our part. Hold on tight, spider monkeys.
You have to do the intro. You have to do the big intro. What's the big hook?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Just imagine a SWAT team. They all look like me to kick down the door, and they bring Eric one sparkly vampire man. We're watching Twilight on our horror movie analysis podcast. We're watching Twilight.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
Yep.
The SWAT team wasn't a metaphor, by the way. There's several people in.
Yeah,
no?
there's a bunch of red dots on Eric.
It looks like I just have just my face is glowing red because there's so many dots on it.
No, Eric's being a little baby, but that's okay because we're watching Twilight. I have manifested it through. So I don't know. We've left some of them in, but we have talked about Robert Pattinson every episode.
You have talked about Twilight almost every episode.
Well, that gets in. That stays in the podcast.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I can't wait. I've been wanting to watch this movie using our format for since we started. Okay. Just like a behind the scenes featurette right now. Me and Jaime have talked about what would our Patreon look like, and it's come down to Jamie's self-indulgence corner,
which involves
reality TV or stuff that I want to watch exclusively, the stuff that I know, so we could flip our format.
Yeah, basically,
and then also TV shows.
Which I mean, if you want to look at the definition of horror, as I do right now, and pulling it up, we got this far into the. Did you expect us to get this far before pulling up
Merriam-Webster
the Webster's?
says. Is that what you're gonna for real?
An intense feeling of fear, shock, or disgust.
Perfect!
Which, I mean, reality TV show fits into it.
Yeah.
The movie we were talking about today fits into it. The disgust part.
Does.
Maybe the shock too, and the fear. I'm feeling like I'm on the roller coaster, before the roller coaster, in the line, just waiting.
You got tummy butterflies?
I got little tummy butterflies. I'm looking up and I just see Robert Pattinson's face with a giant mouth with the roller coaster going right into it.
It's him standing in the tracksuit. You go in between his legs.
We don't like to go there. Sorry.
You heard it here first. I have so many things to tell you. Well, first of all, I want to hear from you.
Oh.
So I think to your complete horror that you are going to experience in 1 second, this is our first vampire movie of the podcast. It's Twilight.
No, really?
Yeah.
No.
This is the Lilo and Stitch meme where it's God, please send me a friend to watch movies with, your best angel, and it's me being like, Twilight!
We'll be fun.
Yeah. What? Okay, but you're a vampire fan, right? You love the pointy boys.
You could call me a sucker for those Vang boys. If it's horror adjacent, horror related, horror originated, I love it probably.
Okay. So I think you know more about vampires than I do, probably.
Ooh.
Because the vampire genre, okay. Baffling. So my sister Katie Lee, shout out, hi Katie Lee. So Katie Lee loves vampires, is more goth than me, and has the whole aesthetic interest in foppish dandy vampires. Mm-hmm. She never read Twilight. She was like in high school when it came out, and I was in middle school. And at peak, it was perfect timing for me. But I read that. I didn't like Twilight. Well, we'll get into it, but I didn't really like Twilight that much at all.
It was like everyone else liked slander, though, right?
Yes, which we will also get into. But this, yeah. So but I would say you know way more about vampires than I do.
Okay.
I think.
Appreciate probably that. Maybe.
Yeah, almost certainly.
We'll see if this knowledge is applied to this episode.
Almost certainly. But okay, what do you know about Twilight?
Vampires.
Good start. Have you seen this movie?
Yeah.
Okay, you have seen this movie.
So when I was a child, I was like too cool for Twilight and was like all for like dunking on Twilight.
Yep.
And I've grown out of a lot of my angst,
but
not the Twilight hate. But no, I saw the first 2 movies and that's it.
Okay, no, that's not true because you saw.
Well, originally, and now thanks to Jaime, I've seen
the Quarantimes.
3, 4, 2, 4.
You've seen 4. No, wait, you have seen 3.
3
because we didn't watch Twilight this time around.
Yes.
Okay, so the first time you watched Twilight was when it came out. Do you remember it fairly well?
Yeah.
Okay, so no surprises are going to come your way.
Maybe. I don't know. It just depends on how much I was paying attention to, and also like the thing to go back to with Robert Pattinson too is like I'm really we're in this renaissance of like the Rob Pats, and like you and me are both on this like bandwagon, this train of just like how great he is at acting now. And so it's like when we watched New Moon, I'm like, I guess I misjudged this movie. I guess he is a good actor. And then I watched it, and then watched him and Kristen Stewart and the third guy just fucking like just beefing it the entire time, just like making the weirdest faces, just like with the weirdest delivery. Like there was just like no one behind the camera giving them any direction.
So we are not only in a Robert Pattinson renaissance, we are in a Twilight renaissance. I think it's because everyone's regressing in quarantine, but like TikTok is crawling with Twilight content.
It's like
it's so good.
They're regressing into Twilight or The Sopranos.
One of those is men, because I don't know anyone who's seen The Sopranos.
It's weird. I don't know. It's just been popping up on social media everywhere. Everyone's posting about it.
Okay.
People are making videos about it.
Yeah, that's what's happening with Twilight.
Yeah.
We're all going back to 2018. Nope.
2028. That's like, man, I gotta regress back to 2018.
Honestly, I'll take anything else.
The benefit of this podcast, which I have experienced with other podcasts, is that when you're like retroactively listening to them and you know what's about to hit and coming for them, and they're just like, haha, 2020, we'll see what comes. I'm like, oh, you scams. You have no idea.
I know. So we're trying to close the gap on how far ahead we record, because we're like right now a month ahead, basically.
Even though this episode's coming out in Christmas.
This episode is an inexplicable time warp. You can't call it this year.
No.
Probably ever, but especially this year. You cannot call ahead what's going to happen.
I should get into gambling.
Or you should find someone who can look into the future. Like Alice. In Twilight.
Oh, okay. Also,
did you think I was about to tell you I was like clairvoyant? What did you?
I had no idea, Jaime. I had no idea. I didn't know if you were going to be like, and here's your 2021 wife. Come through the door.
I'm working on it. Okay.
But no, Alice was. I remember I was like, oh, Twilight's dumb, but ooh.
Oh yeah,
pretty.
You and every lesbian.
Oh, thanks.
Alice is like
finally after episode 1 with Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, now
I can finally
you and the lesbians are finally able to give each other the sup nod, because like Alice was a lot of people's sexual awakening, or Rosalie. The whole baseball scene in this movie was a lot of people's. Oh my god, there's
the baseball scene.
Okay,
unironic.
Iconic. Really
unironic Iconic's my new band name.
So I read the books. I didn't really like them, but I enjoyed reading them, and everyone else liked them, so I pretended to like them. There are notes from my middle school that I'm sure say I heart Edward in the margins with the little curly font. Oh, like 100%. Yeah. Great. Yeah. I do not in fact heart Edward, but so I like read Twilight, and then I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter when I was a kid, so I was reading Harry Potter at the same time. So then I turned into one of those, like, Harry Potter's so much better than Twilight people. And then, I mean, it's true, but now here we are in this space. It also got compared in media a ton to Harry Potter, because they were coming out at the same time, like the movies were coming out.
Oh, okay. Fantasy.
The first
teenagers.
I guess. The first one, the first Twilight movie came out when Half-Blood Prince was coming out. which I'll lay that timeline down. A better, simpler time. But I reread Twilight. I reread the books like 5 years ago, a little bit ahead of the Twilight Renaissance when everyone else was like, what the fuck are you doing? I bought them all from Goodwill and reread them because I was in like a reading slump, and I was just like, you know what'll kickstart this? Twilight, and it worked. Yeah,
it's like a guarantee. Every Goodwill you go to will have the Twilight series.
Yeah, it's like a central. It's something that tethers the universe together.
Wait, there's a Goodwill. There's a copy of.
If you don't find one, you are in a fake copy. That's how you can tell. You're in the wrong universe.
That's gonna fuck up someone.
So getting into the facts of the movie. So I don't even remember seeing the movie. I know I did.
Can we establish on the top if you're Team Jacob or Team Edward?
Oh my god, I'm team neither. I'm team neither. If I have to be a team, I'm Team Edward.
What's the team dad? What's
Charlie, but he's a cop.
Ah, fuck!
So when I reread them, I was like,
Team
wait,
Car.
I
the
thought
car
I
that
was,
almost killed Bella.
I thought I was Team Minivan.
Team Minivan.
I thought I was like Team Jacob when I reread the books, and all of my friends were Team Jacob. I was Team Edward originally because I was being contrarian, but then I was like, I just like forgot how manipulative he was until we rewatched the movies. I was like, he's a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
So everyone is.
It's not good.
Okay, do you want to read the wiki for us?
Twilight is a 2008 American romantic fantasy film based off Stephanie Meyers' 2005 novel of the same name. Oh, wow. Did you know it was based off a book? Directed by Catherine Hardwicke, the film stars Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. This film focuses on the development of the relationship between Bella Swan, a teenage girl, and Edward Collins, a vampire, and subsequent efforts of Edward and his family to keep Bella safe from the coven of evil vampires.
Let me tell you about this movie. So, Twilight was originally optioned by Paramount Pictures, but the script developed was apparently very different from the book, and Stephanie Meyers was really mad, and she's like, I found a quote, you can't give Bella night vision gear and jet skis and expect it to be the same movie.
Was she, like, being, like, metaphorical?
I don't know, but I'm imagining, like, an action romance rom-com, like, spy movie with vampires.
I want that movie.
I want that script. I'm going to try to find it on the internet. But that got scrapped. It was in development for really long. And then Summit Entertainment picked it up. And that's how we got the movie that we have today. So the first film is directed by Catherine Hardwicke. Do you know anything about her?
No.
Okay. She, her first film that she directed was called 13, and it was actually a collaboration between her and an actress named Nikki Hale about Hale's teenage years. Nikki Hale is Rosalie in Twilight, so we'll see her soon.
Right.
But she's like worked really closely with her. I watched the behind the scenes Twilight like bonus features that are on Amazon a while ago, like a month ago, and Catherine Hardwicke is so cute. Like I don't know, just like having a female director on this movie. Each movie is directed by a different director, which is very clear. Like you can, and I'll have.
Could you imagine coming in for like the third movie of this and be like, "This is what you have to do"? It's gonna
blow your mind who directed it too. Like I don't understand, because if they had given them to Catherine Hardwicke, I think this one is like the best movie. It's the moodiest movie. It feels like the most romantic movie. Like. It feels like a woman made it, which I guess sounds gross, but I feel like she has you can just tell, like the other movies were directed by guys, and this one is directed by her. And she was like really dedicated it too. So Melissa Rosenberg, Public Enemy #1, is the screenwriter for all of the movies. So they've had the same screenwriter throughout.
Interesting.
Melissa, you need to answer my questions. I have questions for you.
Let's go, Jamie.
Oh
This is your platform.
She just makes some choices in this movie that we will see shortly. But they put together the script. So Catherine Hardwicke and her collaborated on the script, and they actually brought in Stephanie Meyers to veto aspects of the film that she didn't like. They don't normally do that, do they? With like authors, like book movies?
It depends, I think. Okay. It depends on how much like the person has creative control over it.
Got it. Well, they had her, she was able to like nix stuff, like, and they showed her a hard cut of the movie, and she helped make changes. So I think that was pretty cool.
I personally think the author shouldn't have any involvement with the movie.
I think so too, but this movie is just its whole own thing. So the reason this movie is really, it's like a cult classic if you're a genuine fan of the stuff. I mean, like, cult as in the cult of Twilight. But, like, if you're, like, someone who reads the books, like, it's exactly the book. Almost exactly the book.
And then the rest of them kind of take liberties with the
No, all of the movies.
Oh.
All of the movies are very close to the books. The books are not good. So that's the problem. Like, they made the book into a movie almost directly. And they're not good.
Sounds like a bad movie.
So a source said that Twilight the movie is unerringly faithful to the source without being hamstrung by it. Which I think is it's a good way to describe it. Stephanie Meyers, so she doesn't know shit. She doesn't know anything about vampires. The book,
really?
Yeah, I know. The book was inspired by a dream she had. There's like an iconic meadow scene, and she had that dream, and then she wrote the book. She wasn't an author before. This is her first book, and the title of this book was Forks. Because they're in Forks, Washington. She didn't know how to title it, and the publisher was like, bitch, change the title! Forks!
Could you imagine just seeing a bunch of, like, preteen girls with, like, shirts that just says Forks on it?
Forks!
How good... Okay, I was thinking about this, because it's, like, it's so, like, it's like, wow, I just had this dream, and it all came to me, and, like, I wrote this. Yeah. Like... Have you ever had a dream where you're like, fuck, I gotta write like a whole entire ass series about it, and then also establish because like the beautiful thing I think about Twilight, the thing I like about it is that it's like the ideology of somebody that doesn't line up with like my opinions.
Yeah,
like ours are so different, and you watch this movie and it's their opinions and saying like this is right, and as an outside viewer you're just like, this feels bad, like everything that they're deciding is wrong, and it's like because our moral
so that's what you like.
I think it's really fascinating to watch that kind of stuff where it's just like you're almost like in a foreign country and you're just like watching somebody else's like, oh, like Edward's good because he doesn't want to like he wants to marry this 17-year-old girl before they can have sex.
It's wild because she also is really Stephanie Meyers is like very disrespectful to the vampire genre. She doesn't give a fuck. Like she was very insistent on no fangs. She didn't want anything. She's like, when you think of vampires, you think of goth stuff. But I'm insisting on, like, classic styling for the vampires, which just means that they, like, rolled around in a gap.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
The most boring... Every vampire movie takes its own liberty and always has that one scene where it's like, that's just in the movies, man. Crosses don't really work, which I hate. Which I think we established before. But this one is just like,
it's just like, no, none of it's true, actually, because I made it all up.
They drink blood.
But it doesn't have to be human blood.
That's fair. No, there's other things that are like that. So
that's it.
You got one? Okay.
They're sparkly?
Nope. They're sexy.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. They have, like, supernatural spirit.
Don't worry.
We don't have time for this. We will watch this movie.
Will we?
We will.
How long can I derail Jaime before she just gives up and we don't watch the movie?
No. This is a quote from Stephanie Meyers about... So she said, it wasn't until I knew that Twilight would be published that I began to think about whether my vampires were too much the same or too much different from the others. Too much the same? Of course, I was far too invested in my characters at that point to be making changes, so I didn't cut out fangs and coffins and so forth as a way to distinguish my vampires. That's just how they came to be. So she's saying it's, like, cool that she didn't change it because she wanted to be different. She just changed it because she is different.
I'm not like other vampire
Not
writers.
like other vampire authors. Literally. The casting for this movie was baffling and incredible. So Catherine Hardwicke saw Kristen Stewart on the set of Adventureland and she was like captivated. But it was not love at first sight with our dear Robert.
Oh, because she went Jesse Eisenberg from Adventureland. Could you imagine Jesse Eisenberg? Maybe a little bit more charismatic than Robert Pattinson in this movie. Sorry, continue.
She said, I looked at a couple of pictures of him and I was like, I'm not sure. He'd been fired from his last job, he was unemployed, and he was in debt. This is our intro to Rob.
He was like, what?
20-year-old Robert Pattinson was in London. He was in debt. He was not impressing anybody.
Weren't we all at 20?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Ben Barnes, who was Prince Caspian in the Narnia movies. Did you see those? Yeah. Oh my god, I was obsessed with him. I was very young and homeschooled, and I had such a crush on this guy.
They're like, this is the only fantasy thing that's very Christian, so you can watch this.
Literally. Yes, you're joking, but yes.
No, I think, like, shout out to Narnia for, like, allowing a bunch of Christian kids to be introduced to, like, witchcraft and magic and stuff like that.
Well, like, bad witchcraft, though. It's the bad kind. because Aslan is Lion Jesus.
Oh, and then the Ice Queen was just like, you're not supposed to root for her, right? Even though
though Tilda Swinton is just kind of hot. What? You're watching your kid and you're like, is she hot? Anyway.
I'll get your sled. I'll eat your chocolates. Whoa, no.
Okay, so
How
we
is
could
that
have
anything?
had we could have had Prince Caspian as Edward. He was one of the last 4 people. Another runner-up was Jackson Rathbone, who is in this movie. He plays Jasper, who's one of the other vampires.
Oh,
which is wild to me.
Oh, you mean fucking Sokka? Or Sokka?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes, yeah, from the really bad Avatar adaptation. He was almost Edward.
We would have gotten his great southern accent.
That would be a tragedy.
Oh man.
You're skipping ahead, but
sorry.
Eric, I want you to guess who Stephanie Meyers imagined in the role of Edward.
Ooh, Henry Cavill. No, sorry. Wait.
Yes! It's Henry Cavill!
It's always Henry Cavill.
It's Henry Cavill!
Oh man.
They tried to get him, and he was 25 when this was coming out. Okay, so Henry Cavill was basically too hunky and too old looking. They're like, this guy is not 17.
Yeah, you can't have a buff vampire.
That is who she was imagining in her head.
She just had the hots for Henry Cavill.
Yes, because they tried to get him to play Carlisle, Edward's
God.
hunky doctor dad, and he said no because he was filming The Tudors. But I just...
Oh, thank God he was filming
We could have had blonde Henry Cavill in this movie being a vampire dad, and It's like the casting for all of the other vampires, a bunch of them were like third choice actors, and then the other actors fell through, and they're like, I guess. A bunch of them.
It kind of feels like that.
Absolutely it does. Kristen Stewart was 17 when they filmed this movie.
Oh my god, I don't like that.
I don't either. So, Catherine Hardwicke yelled at Rob and was like, you better not fuck around with Kristen because she is underage. And so don't fuck it up. They did their screen test together at Catherine Hardwicke's house in her bed.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I don't either. So I'm like, Catherine, why are you so horny for Twilight? Like, in her... What?
That's wild. That's weird.
It's wild!
I'm gonna say, that's like when, like, that actress in Return of the Living Dead showed up to, like, Dan O'Bannon's house and he had, like, her on the TV. Like, there's just, like, a lot of, like, control, power, and, like, insinuation there that's not good.
Yes! So I like a lot of things about Catherine Hardwicke, but I don't like that. Because someone said that bed made Rob who he is. Because now he's, like, famous. Don't like it. Don't like it.
What chemistry? Because they dated in real life.
Well, the thing is, Kristen Stewart was like, it's gotta be him. And they were like, this guy? And she's like, yeah, it has to be him. And they were set on Kristen. So that's the reason why he got the part.
Thank you, Kristen Stewart.
He'd never read the books. He didn't know anything about it. When he was hired, but he did read it because he wanted to read for the role because he liked Kristen. He liked her performance in Into the Wild. So it was basically just those two. And so they're like, oh, their chemistry undeniable, apparently. So
the camera started rolling?
I don't know. He had to move to Oregon for the role, and he didn't know how to drive. He had to learn how to drive. He got his Oregon driver's license because he couldn't get around.
Okay.
This was also his first American accent.
One of many to come.
Which really tracks because his accent is wild. He had no speech coach for this movie. He sounds crazy in this movie, and it makes sense because he just did it himself. He also did our classic Robert Pattinson. He tried not to talk to anyone for a few weeks before they started filming to get as isolated as Edward. So he went method. It's wild. He also sings 2 songs that are on the soundtrack, and he plays piano in this movie.
Oh.
Yeah. Do we know he could do that?
No.
Yeah, one of the other actresses heard him playing guitar, and then she stealth recorded him and sent it to the producers and was like, put a song in the movie. But then they did, and it was fine. And his sister sings a song. I didn't know he had a sister.
He has a sister.
A sister named Lizzie Pattinson, and she sings the vocals for when we first see him.
Is she older or younger?
Younger.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of Pattinson involvement in this movie. I have more information about filming, but we can talk about it afterwards. Or now. Do you want to hear now?
Up to you, Jamie. Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
I love this. I love just like sitting here and like
this
learning.
This is what I get to do all the time.
Yeah.
I do want to tell you about this. So the film shot for 44 days, mostly in Portland, Oregon. I actually visited Forks, Washington last year. And all the iconic locations like the high school and the Collins house are not there. Oh. They're not in Forks, they're in Portland. Oh. The budget for the movie was $37 million, which is a lot of dollars.
$37 million? Okay.
It doesn't feel like it's that high budget at all. It feels really low budget at certain points.
Where did the money go?
Stunts. It went into stunts. The cast mostly did their own stunts, but they had to build So there's the scene at the end, which we'll talk about when we watch it, but they had to build a whole, like, fake floor. We should watch the behind the scenes. I think you'd like watching it. It was, like, crazy expensive. It was really cool. And they filmed that part first. That was the first scene because the main antagonistic vampire guy, Cam, I forget his last, like, Gigadot or something crazy. He had another movie. So he's like, they have to film the end of the movie first. Mm-hmm. And then they filmed all of the rest of it after that. But the actors did almost all of their own stunts. When the vampires are running fast, they got hooked into this, like, rig on a wire, and it was extremely painful for them. They're basically just being, like, dragged along. Like, you know that video of someone who passed out on the zip line?
Yeah.
That's essentially what it seemed like it felt like, because, yeah, seeing them behind the scenes, they were like, this fucking sucks. Yeah, and every time Robert Pattinson talks in behind the scenes, he's like half in an accent, half out of it, because I think he was just trying so hard.
Yeah.
So he sounds insane. But
it seems like I don't want to dunk on anyone, but it seems like this production was like not efficient or
I don't know.
effective. I guess
I don't think so. I would actually say the opposite. It seems like they. Well, let me tell you, so it grossed $7 million in ticket sales from midnight showings alone. It was released on November 21st, 2008, but it grossed $35.7 million on its opening day.
Yeah.
That set the record for a female director,
all right,
which is sick. And it made $69 million. Nice. I think it said on opening, so I assume opening week.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was ineffective. It seems like everyone on...
I'm just saying, like, budgetary reasons to be like...
A lot of it was CGI, too. They had to do, like, a lot of CGI and stuff.
Always hire stunt people, too. Yeah. As good as, like, the actor. Like...
No, they had stunt people, but they did a lot of them. Mm. There's, like, a lot of jumping stunts. Like, they jump from, like, a second story, like, level. And Rob actually did that one. So they did hire stunt people, but they... also wanted to do their own stunts, a lot of them, because there's like a scene too when the sexy hot bad guy vampires are walking in. They were walking at 25 miles an hour because they're essentially on the like conveyor belt thing at the airport, you know, like when you're walking. So it's the effect is to make it look like they're walking really fast, but they all did it. They had stunt people ready for them, and they're like, wrong, we want to do it ourselves. But it was like a crazy stunt too, because it was like pretty unsafe. So they had to rehearse through it a bunch, because if they fell off, they were moving pretty fast, and there was no way to guard them.
Dangerous, but kind of funny.
Yeah, which we'll see on the behind the scenes stuff too. But I think maybe it was like not super effective. I kind of agree. The effects do not look good. They don't look good. They look really fucking funny. Like, when they're running fast, they look hilarious. It's just...
I don't blame anybody. Making the movie is so difficult, and I'm sure
they
had
2007 too, remember?
They had a lot of constraints and stuff, and it's just like, I feel like a lot of movies, like, especially like first movies like this, like, if they work out, it's by like 50%, like, by coincidence and accident that actually, like, panned out of the way it was supposed to.
Well, they had the fan base already, like, rearing and ready to go.
Right.
But a lot of people had problems with the casting, especially Robert Pattinson got a ton of hate for being Edward.
Was there, like, a fan cast?
Everyone has their own fan cast. Well, also the problem is Stephanie Meyers had her own actor she wanted in mind when she was writing the book. Mm-hmm. Literally, she just had actors.
Who do you know who they were?
Henry Cavill.
Oh.
But
young William Dafoe.
But for, like, the rest of the supporting cast, she had people in mind, too, and they couldn't get them. And then, like, she had already talked about wanting those people on, like, fan sites. So then the fans were, like, mad. I think the problem is Edward is supposed to be, like, your ideal hunky man. And so everyone has their own, like, vision of what Edward is like. Mm-hmm. Because everyone wants to be, like... I think this movie does a good job at tapping into, like, the desire of being a young woman, or I mean a young person especially, and just having someone, like, see you and, like, you really just want to feel special. Like, that's all I wanted when I was, like, 13, you know, when I read these books, is someone to, like, look at me and be like, you are so much more special than everyone else, and, like, there's something about you that I am just, like, captivated by.
Right.
Because Bella is a normal ass girl. Like, I've been reading Midnight Sun.
She's got that good blood.
I've been reading Midnight Sun, which is from Edward's point of view, and I actually like Bella quite a bit from his point of view, because she's kind of funny. Like, there's a scene where he's like, oh yeah, it's something about going to lunch, because it's like they're in high school, and she's like, lunch? You're going to eat me? Just kidding. And he's like, she like fake hides her collar so he can't like bite her neck. Like, she pulls her, she's a dork. Like, she's a fucking dork.
Yeah.
But I like that. Like, she has some kind of personality, at least. She's just like a kind of a loser horse girl energy a little bit, like kind of a dork. She's really shy. She's awkward. She doesn't know how to dress. Like, and I like that about her. I don't know. She's just kind of like a little nerd, like a little dweeb. And Edward's like, my virgin bride, and I like don't understand. But this movie does a good job at tapping into that. And it was received pretty well. Entertainment Weekly said that Hardwicke has reconjured Meyers' novel as a cloudburst mood piece filmed with stormy skies, rippling hormones, and understated visual effects.
Wow.
I think it is pretty. It is moody. It's a lot. This movie is a lot more moody than the rest of them.
I remember it being a lot like very gray.
Yeah, it's very gray and very blue.
Yeah.
Very blue. Yeah. I think dropping Hardwicke, even with her creepy bed casting, was a tragic mistake because she like really understood what was going on here. She wanted more time to develop New Moon than the studio was allowing, because the studio was like, we are cranking these out every year if you like it or not. That was like when Hunger Games was coming out, when Harry Potter was coming out. Like, so like every franchise had a new movie each year, basically. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, it was the
like
young
end
adult.
Yeah, it was like
the original extended universe of just
absolutely.
And then we really kind of came to like ahead with like Divergent and Maze Runner and
but same time.
They made the movie for the host too. Damn.
Mm-hmm. They did. Yeah, one of the guys who auditioned to be Edward was the main lead guy in Host. She's like, we'll keep you around for something else.
For my lesser property.
Yeah, literally. The guy, guess who directed New Moon? Chris Weitz. Do you know who that is?
I don't know.
Oh, is it the director of American Pie?
Why?
It is.
Why?
He also, I mean, he co-wrote Rogue One, and he co-wrote the live-action Cinderella Disney story, but the first thing I found him for was American Pie. And I'm like, why would you give this to him?
That makes sense. It has the same vibe.
Yeah, when they're
it has like the same like misguided sexual struggle of like
that's a whole essay in itself.
Yeah.
And Eclipse was directed by David Slade, who directed 30 Days of Night, Hard Candy, episodes of Hannibal, and Bandersnatch, which is that one episode of Black Mirror.
What the fuck? In the middle of all that?
Inexplicable. I don't know. That does make sense to me because Eclipse is the one that most feels like a horror movie. It's the one where they have that beginning with like the newborn army and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So I kind of, he was kind of trying to pull a narrative through there.
He was like, these are vampires, right?
But like, it's insane who has worked on these movies.
Yeah, why?
I don't understand.
To imagine this property coming across your table and being like, you want to work on Twilight?
You're like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, why not? I mean, he did fine for himself. Mm-hmm. And that is most of my background on the film. Do you have any questions?
So many.
That's true.
I think we should just watch the movie because I could go on for days.
That sounds great. Okay, I'm recording.
Bah.
Eric, you did it!
Bah.
That would be funnier if we had more Taylor Lautner in this movie.
We gotta continue the series just so we can keep on making fun of
You said it, not me.
Oh no!
What did you think upon your very recent
what about my
rewatch?
recap?
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
I should have. Whoops. I mean, no.
Yeah, you really almost got out of it.
So I really liked.
Tell me what we just watched. Tell me the Ballad of Twilight, Eric.
Twilight 2008 is I would deem a horror movie in which a girl no longer feels at home with her mom and her new boyfriend, so she goes to live with her father, who she is estranged from, and they start developing a relationship. She starts going to school. She has a difficult time at school because she's the new kid from Arizona. Shout out Arizona.
Whoop, whoop.
And this new location is Portland, right?
What?
Seattle? Washington.
Forks, Washington!
Forks. How did I forget? Oh my god.
Portland! It was filmed in Portland.
That's why, yeah. Because I can clock a Portland anywhere.
Welcome to the Mind Palace. It's very hard doing these recaps.
Alright, so she goes to school, she gets picked on, but then develops some friends, and then she sees these...
Who does she get picked on by?
She did the one guy says something weird to her right when she goes in.
They were all trying to date her.
Oh, is that what they were trying to do?
Yeah.
well, color me something, because I thought that all these guys were picking on her, but apparently they were just trying to like hit on her.
Yeah, fair enough.
So then all of a sudden, slow-mo, cue yellows, oh yeah, as the Cullens walk in, all these sexy, distant, inner dating, pale boys, and one of them has the eyes for Bella. And also the nose, because then she goes into the classroom, and it's the classic scene of when she walks in to a classroom, and put yourself in her position. You know, she's new to this school and the environment and everything. The first thing she sees is the cute guy covering his mouth in disgust as she walks in, because there's a fan like blowing her sweet, sweet blood at him, and he just wants to eat her so bad.
To be clear, the fan is not blowing blood.
Oh, no.
It's the smell, her blood
Her
scent,
blood smell. You know how your blood smells?
You know how you walk into a fan and it blows your blood
next time you're
everywhere?
bleeding, just smell your blood. Next time you get a nosebleed, just suck that right back in.
Ew. Okay, sorry.
So, yeah, and then he's like... he's just like a dick. But it's so funny, because okay, this is what I want to do now. Next Thanksgiving dinner, I want to refuse to enjoy, like, wanting to eat the Thanksgiving dinner and see what my reaction is. Because, like, the notes that Robert Pattinson was given, apparently, is just, like, to be disgusted. But
I think he was just trying not to rip her face off, so...
Yeah.
Robert interpreted that as
being disgusting.
As disgusting.
Yeah, and so then... Oh, man. The journey... I can't even get into the journey of, like, Edward's emotions, because they literally are all over the place, and Bella points that out at some point, and then they just kind of move past it.
Yeah.
So, she makes friends... She keeps on seeing Edward. Edward keeps seeing her, more so than she's seeing him, because he's a stalker. And then there's prom in the background the entire time. Eventually, her and Edward get close enough that they start, like, having feelings. And then, wow. And then I guess that's when they go into the forest. After she Googles, she, like, starts to figure out. They go prom dress... Wow, Jamie, okay. They go prom dress shopping, and then she goes to get a book because she starts getting suspicious. Don't be suspicious. And finds a book on vampires, because apparently she doesn't understand the concept of a vampire. And then Edward shows up because she's about to get, like group somethinged by a bunch of dudes out of nowhere. And then Edward shows up, and his vulva saves her ass. And then it's like, oh, I just want to fucking murder them.
Vulva?
Oh, shit.
That wasn't a bit?
No.
You just... Edward shows up in his vulva. That's iconic. We're keeping that in. Yes!
I meant what I said. Imagine it.
He can't. He has no clue what a...
No, he doesn't. Okay, so Edward's an incel. We can get that. We got to get there. Yeah. Okay.
Incel word.
Yeah.
Cell word. We'll work on it. I'll workshop it.
So yeah, and then he takes her home. It's just like so many, like, really, like, if you're young and you watch this movie, like, take every behavior from this guy as a warning sign, not like as a romantic sign. That's my.
But
what if he's a sexy?
But we didn't.
But nobody did. Cause
nope.
Everyone was Team Edward. And so then she Googles vampires and then does like a montage, and you see like Nosferatu and like Spook, and then like them as actually like him as an actual vampire, as we interpret a vampire, because that's dumb. It's dumb that you think vampires are cool. And then they go to school, and then they walk directly off campus with no campus security to tell them to stop. They go into the woods, and then she's like, "How long have you been 17?" He says like, "A while." And she's like, "I know what you are." And he's like, "Say it out loud." And she's like, "A vampire." And then he has her hop on his back. They go, and then he's like, "Look at me, I'm a monster." And he has like, it's not sexy, and it's not spooky. So what is it? Please.
Sweaty.
Sweaty. It's sweat. Thank you. It's the third sweaty. S. It's the third S.
Is it sexy? Is it spooky? Is it sweaty?
It's sweaty.
Hopefully it's all three.
And they apparently, Jamie had revealed to me at one point that that's like the most expensive shot in the movie, is like in the CGI sparkly skin.
That was the money shot. The sweaty money shot.
Sweaty money shot. It's just...
He's making... Robert Pattinson is making the most grotesque face. He goes, "It's the skin of a killer!" It's just like...
Tim Curry? That's the killer!
So sorry to interrupt. You're doing
Fine,
great.
please. No, it's helping me think.
No, you're doing great.
And then he goes in like a temper tantrum throughout this entire time. He's like, because he doesn't want to be close to her, because he doesn't want to eat her, but at the same time, he's just like so fucking like wants her so bad. He just wants to interpret what is, because it's really
Eric's
up for
doing a
interpretation.
hand gesture, but we're not telling you what it is. Just imagine.
And then she's cool with it after he has his temper tantrum, and they're just in a meadow, and he's just like covering his boner apparently.
We say apparently because in Midnight Sun there's a passage that leads us to believe he does in fact have a boner.
Right.
It's wild. So no boner in the film.
He's stone hard.
Second time no erect Robert Pattinson.
Oh my god.
I did hear you say stone hard.
Thank you.
They're made of like stone. They're like cold.
And, yeah, and they don't eat, and they don't drink, and they're
so what?
super
Yeah,
fast.
what are the Stephanie Meyers vampire traits?
They're fast. They're strong. They love blood, but can't have it because then they get in a frenzy and they just want it all the time.
They have no fangs.
They have no fangs. So traditional vampire burns in sunlight.
Yes.
Has fangs.
Yes.
Super horny.
Yes.
Seductive.
Mm-hmm.
Luring, can transform in some cases. Transformations may vary. Religious aspects may vary as well. And also super strong and super fast. So there's some crossover there. What makes a vampire cool? Their seduction, their sexiness, their power, their fangs.
Eric's talking about what makes a vampire cool, and by that I mean sexy. Their sexiness, their allure, their fangs.
The way when like you wake up in the morning, they already have eggs, like baking.
They're already there watching
They're
you.
already there
watching you sleep.
They have their little romantic moment in the meadows, and then he's like, "I want to introduce you to my family." And this is actually one of my favorite parts. Is they're all like trying to like cook food for her, but then she's like also respectful and has already eaten. And they kind of like freak out for a second because they're like, we put all this effort into this cooking and she's already eaten. But they're like, okay, we gotta adjust. And also, just lock your eyes on Rob Pats. That's not like a sexy thing. It's just, again, making the dumbest, weirdest faces throughout this entire movie. Along with Jasper. I feel like Jasper is really coming in second. Like, he's really trying to go for those crazy faces.
Because he was almost Edward.
That's true.
That's why.
He's like, this could have been your Edward. And he just stands there with like just like the most pouty face. And it's so dumb because like he's like, okay, so Jasper is one of the brothers. So the Collins family isn't really a family. What they are is one dude who's decided that he's going to turn other people into vampires for the most part, except for two of them, Jasper and Alice. Wow, look at me fucking go. Jasper and Alice met up with the group because they're like vegan vampires. So they only eat like deer and cows. And so
they don't ever eat cows.
They could.
Edward eats mountain lion because he's like a mountain lion.
They're endangered species.
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck about the ecosystem.
That's true. He did rip a root out. It was just like, look at me, I'm so fucking powerful.
Emmett likes eating bears because one almost ate him, and he thinks it's funny.
Another endangered species.
I mean, they live near Canada.
No.
They literally make a point where they're like, we try to hunt in season and make sure that we don't disrupt the ecosystem.
Wow, cool big game hunter.
Yeah, right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So and on the middle of this recap, I gotta say, every decision is baffling. No one is nice. Everyone is not likable, in my opinion. Everyone makes bad decisions, and they're bad people. Anyways, getting back into
you said you liked the side cast, like the secondary cast of characters.
We'll get into it in a second.
Okay. You gotta get us through this movie.
I know. So they're not like a family, but they're a family. And so Jasper is like a newly inducted Confederate vampire, and so he just has this dumb face all the time because he's just wants to eat blood all the time. And then you have Alice, who's just like the carefree, future-telling girl who just decided to like
Manic Pixie Dream Vampire
who hangs out with the Confederate racists.
It's insane. Like, Stephanie Meyers could have just made him a Union soldier.
Yeah, very easily.
Why did she do that?
Or skip that war.
What? I just don't understand. It's fine. It's fine.
It's not fine. And so then they go to play baseball because that's what vampires do. But all during this entire time, 3 new bad vampires, you can tell, because the good vampires have orange eyes and the bad vampires have red eyes. And they are hunting people, and they killed one dude, right? They only killed one dude.
They killed someone in the beginning as well.
2 dudes.
Yeah, 2 dudes.
2 dudes. And then they're playing their baseball game, and then the 3 bad vampires show up. and they would have gone away with it, but the meanest and most baddie vampire, James. Yeah, ooh, James.
Damn, Eric's doing it.
Smells Bella's, because apparently her hair covered her scent, but then like a slight gust of wind was just like, oh, I smell all of that. I'm gonna hunt you because I'm the hunter one. And so they're like, we gotta fucking get her gone.
It's because Edward, I think we were talking over it because we were laughing at them hissing. It's because Edward reacted so strongly and James is competitive.
Oh.
So he was like, ooh, that guy loves her. I'm gonna eat her. Like,
see, what he should have done instead was been like, let's go out a baseball game. Get your competitive energy in a healthy way.
You should have been an athlete.
You should have been an athlete. Yeah, you could have been a contender. But instead, Edward reacts poorly out of character. Uncharacteristically makes a bad decision and tells Bella...
Not Edward.
That
Edward overreacting?
I know. It's just
not
like... this is the only moment. Only
Not our boy.
And so then they go back to Bella's house, and this is when the only emotional moment hit for me, is when she's like, needs to like get out of town, but at the same time needs to like make sure that she doesn't hurt her dad. And so in order to do that...
She doesn't want him to wait around and kill her dad to try and lure her out. So that's why she did it. So she said it loud enough that the vampire could hear. That the bad guy could hear.
Yeah. And so she's like... She told him exactly what her mom said to him before she divorced her dad. And then said, this is why mom left. And bounced. Which is fucking wild. Like, if I was James, I would even be like, oof.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to eat that now. Like, that's tainted.
Like, okay.
Yeah. I would, like, knock on the door and be like, dude, are you okay? Bring it in. Like, that was rough.
Yeah, it sucked.
And so then they go to Arizona.
Whoop, whoop.
They did a little shot of Camelback Mountain.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it I did not recognize.
Little cactus?
I did recognize the cacti that they have everywhere, and then also the abundance of cowboy wearing, guitar carrying
Just
people.
in case you were confused.
There was like 10 of them. 10 of them in like 2 shots that they had of like just the background characters of just people in cowboy hats. But then the tracker's so good at tracking because they try to like divert his like sense, but he figures it out. And so then he's like, oh, I'm actually at your mom's house now. You gotta save your mom. Meet me at your ballerina studio that you had once gone to. Because cinematic. And then they go there, and it's the most bizarre ballerina location I've ever seen. Like, more like atmospheric and twisted than like anything in Suspiria, where there's just like freestanding mirrors and then pillars with mirrors and no bars around. Like, no bars to, ballerina dance. But then it turns out he didn't have her mom. He just like fucked around and then did like found a home video. Like, a lot more effort than this guy has to do. So then he starts like
he's a pervert. He's a sadist.
Yeah, because then he starts making a snuff film of Bella where he's like, I'm gonna kill you, and then show Edward.
It's wild.
It's dark. He like breaks her leg and then throws her, and she gets like glass shards in her leg, and then Edward shows up to save the day, and then they start fighting, and then the rest of the family shows up. And at this point, James had already bitten Bella, so she's like, is she turning or dying?
So it's just like a ton of pain. It takes a few days for you to turn into a vampire.
Okay.
Yeah, so she is...
struggling.
Yes, she lost a ton of blood normally, so she either basically was turned to a vampire or die. Okay. One or the other.
And so, like, she's going through that, and then Edward's surrogate dad, not Casper...
the friendly dad.
The friendly dad. The horny dad. This man has chemistry with everyone that James said. And it's true. Every scene he's in, it's like, are they gonna kiss? And so then he goes, Edward, he gives Edward a little kiss. And he says, go save your girlfriend.
He's like, son. It's like that family on SNL. Where everyone kisses.
That's what that family feels like. Because it is. Yeah. It's just it's not a family. It's just like a bunch of couples.
I think, okay, don't worry
about
it. I feel like they could have been an artist colony.
Yeah.
They could have been college students.
Yeah.
They could have been literally anything.
A family is the least that they are.
Yeah.
And no, we can't. Should we talk about it? Okay, we won't talk about
sequels. No, we gotta go. We were so close.
Okay, but we will talk about sequels at one point, apparently, because I got thoughts.
We're gonna watch them now.
No.
Yeah!
And so, this is my favorite part, actually, is when Edward and Bella's making a fucking crazy face. Edward's making a crazy face. He's like, I gotta suck the blood out of you.
Which doesn't work, the venom, not the blood.
Oh. Which you don't do that, by the way. You don't...
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I learned this on a podcast. You don't suck out the venom, because that just gives you the venom.
Yes.
But I guess he's a vampire too. It's like if a snake was like, let me suck out the venom. My other shitty snake friend bit you. Let me get some of that.
Yeah.
What a homie ass snake. Would you do it? Would you do it if like a snake was just like, hey, I know that other snake just bit you, but like I'll take that from you.
Yeah.
But then the snake's a little sexy, and like you wake up in the middle of the night and the snake's just like on the side of your bed.
Hey. Okay, come on, we're so close.
And so like this is all happening, like the dramatic like moment of her like dying and Edward being like, do I have enough control? Do I love this person enough that I won't kill them? And it's like this intense, powerful, passionate moment. And meanwhile, in the background, Carlisle's like, hey, Edward, you're not a killer, but your brothers definitely are. And then like the two brothers are like, hell yeah. And then like fucking Alice just like jumps on him like spider monkey style, rips off his head. And then you see them like throwing like wood into a bonfire and like yeet the body in there. They're like dancing around the bonfire after they murdered someone.
I thought Eric was being hyperbolic. No, they literally do that. I never noticed.
It's so
They're just
funny.
Like, yeah! Like fist pumping in the background.
Fucking murdered him. And it's like so anticlimactic because this villain is not established until like the third act and then immediately dies.
In the book, you don't even see them at all until that part.
Holy shit.
There's no like from their point of view in the beginning or anything.
It's so okay. We gotta get it because I have so many opinions. And then Bella wakes up in the hospital. She has a nose tube on, and then I guess in the close-ups they were like, "Oh, it's not obvious she has nose tubes," so they put them over her eyes. And her mom's there, and she's like, "Oh, Edward's here too, and he never left your side. And I want to go to Jacksonville, Florida, because that's a worse location, I guess,
than Phoenix."
And then Phoenix, thanks.
It's the Arizona of the East.
And I mean, Forks is the Arizona or the Phoenix of the North, I guess.
Why do you say that?
I just wanted to.
Because Bella's there.
Because Bella.
Okay.
Because Bella. And then there's prom.
No, wait. No.
No?
What do they talk about in the hospital?
What do they talk about in the hospital? Him not turning her? No.
She's just sad. She's like, you can never leave. And he's like, I gotta leave. You need to go to Jacksonville. And then she flips out.
Oh, and then he's like, okay, I'll never leave.
In the book, it fucks her heart monitor up and a nurse runs in.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, because she gets so upset.
Oh, it's real like Star Wars Padme. Like, you're breaking my heart, Anakin.
Yep, absolutely, yeah.
I'm glad. I hope Stephanie Meyers saw those movies and was like, this is the only thing I'm taking away from these movies. This is good. I'm putting this in my books.
Yeah. Edward does have big Anakin energy. Yeah,
what was it in the early 2000s where we're just like these little sad fuck boys are like what we
Some
want.
people have never got over it.
Yeah. Where's my Team Anakin shirt? Fuck, we're so close. So they go to prom. Edward looks great in his suit. Like, I think I figured out why Robert Pattinson doesn't look great in these movies, because they like paint up his face and make him like a little bit too dolled up.
Absolutely.
Like, part of the appeal of Robert Pattinson is his like scuffy growth. Like
it's the rest that he looks much better. He looks good in New Moon. He looks wild in Eclipse because they give him crazy giant sideburns. And I think he looks okay in Breaking Dawn. So, yeah, not horrible. But this movie, he looks the worst for sure because he's like pink lipstick on.
Yeah,
like crazy ass lipstick.
Everyone is wearing Gap. Everyone's just dressed poorly, which I guess is like realistic. Yeah, just wearing
blazers.
But you're wearing a movie, and it's like, what's the appeal of like?
It's Stephanie Meyers. She's like, I want them to look classy. I'm like, I hate you. Let them be goth.
So they go to prom, and she's in a boot because her leg got fucking broke. And then they were like, oh, she just fell downstairs. Because like throughout the movie, she's like, I'm so clumsy.
Yep.
And then they go to prom, and then she's like, turn me into a vampire. And he's like, nope, I'm just gonna kiss your neck. And then they do a little dance, and then Radiohead plays.
And then
the biggest twist of them all. There's three vampires. There's James, who died. Laurent, who's not I thought he's not a bad guy, is he?
He's fine.
I mean,
he's
he kills
adequate.
people.
He almost kills Bella in the second one. They run into each other randomly, and then he almost kills her, and the werewolves eat him.
Yeah, which is kind of fucked. I don't know if he deserved that now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, he tried to eat her. The werewolves are all about vampires can't kill people here.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Everyone was doing their job. He's trying to eat people, that's his vampire job. Yeah. Werewolves won't let you eat people, that's their job.
Okay.
Bella being an idiot, that's her job. Victoria was there.
Victoria was in the window, and it was like
at prom.
I had never seen Gossip Girl, but I figured this is how every episode ends, where she's just like turns away and walks down the stairs and turns to black and white, and she's like, and they never knew I was there at their prom.
End of movie.
End of series. It's crazy that they didn't make another movie after this.
That's wild that we were just talking about it too.
What?
Good work, Eric. Good
Thank
recap.
you. Yeah, thanks.
How did that feel? Crazy, huh? It made you feel like you were going crazy actively?
It felt like I was both Reagan and the priests. Like, I had this, like, demon inside me, and also I was, like, expelling it out of myself as well.
Okay, great.
And my rights were just the movie recap.
I like that energy.
Yeah.
Great. So I think themes of the movie are worth talking about, because this movie hit a chord with a lot of people across age ranges, most of them women, I think, but it really hit a chord. So I think one of the things that Stephenie Meyers stresses, which I think is fucking stupid, is choice is a theme. Indeed.
Where?
Right? Well, okay, so she said, first of all, the apple represents, like, choice, like Garden of Good and Evil, like you're choosing to make a decision, but that implies...
Oh, that's cool that they kick around choice like a hacky sack in
like
this movie.
Like, Bella is choosing to eat from the sin and then doom herself. I mean, yeah, and then, like, I don't know, she talks about, like, Aphrodite and the magic apples and stuff in Greek mythology and whatever. So Stephenie Meyers thinks that Bella is a strong character because Bella has a choice the whole time, because she wants to choose to be a vampire, and so she's autonomous and she sticks up for herself. Which, I mean, no, it's not, but it's like, is Edward is choosing to be strong enough, or choosing to overlook the parts of himself that he hates, to like overcome his very indulgent self-loathing. To be with someone.
Yeah, that's cool that he conquered that fear.
You would wish he would.
Yeah.
He does not.
No.
So, yeah, I think it's something worth talking about. It's not shown well, but it's what they thought they were doing here.
I said it before we watched the movie, and I'll say it again. It's just like the series and this movie are baffling to me, because you're watching somebody operating on a completely different, like, moral and logical structure. Mm-hmm. Like, everything that's logical in my mind of how people act is not present in this movie.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because in Midnight Sun, Edward the whole time is like, she's doing that. That's what Edward says about Bella. Mm-hmm. He's like, I feel like he said he feels like she's not even human, because she's, like, reacting in such a weird way, like such an opposite, complete way than humans are supposed to react.
I feel like that's Stephenie Meyers 10 years later being like, wow, that was kind of whack, wasn't it?
I know, yes, yeah, like, covering her tracks. But
yeah.
Stephenie Meyers also makes him such an asshole. Like, even more of an asshole than he is.
Because he's an asshole.
Because he's an asshole.
Asshole. He, like, treats her so poorly, and there's, like, multiple points where he's just like, you shouldn't hang out with me. And it's like, no, you shouldn't.
He, like, yells at her, and
it's, like, abusive behavior day one.
Absolutely it is, yeah. It really is.
And she's just so, like, I guess her choice or her willingness is just to, like, go after bad decisions.
Yeah.
Because that's all she's doing. She's just, like, so into it. And then when she finds out she's a vampire, doesn't really, like, react. Like, she just doesn't, like, react to things at all properly.
It's because he's so hot.
That's it. That's, like, the only reason. It's just like she's so fucking into him that she's allowing to excuse his bad behavior, his stalker tendencies, his erratic behavior,
his desire to literally eat her. Yeah.
Because he's hot.
Yeah, she loves him.
They don't have a normal conversation.
Yeah, they don't. No, they don't.
All their first few interactions
they do,
is like...
Yeah.
They have their, like, even their dinner scene, which was, like, in a very... So, okay, no, I won't get into it. But they have this dinner scene, which is in a very cute place. And, like, even then, they're still trying to, like, suss each other out. And her first reaction is just to get up and leave because he won't tell her the truth.
Does she?
Yeah.
She gets up?
Yeah. At the dinner scene? Yeah.
Oh.
He's like, okay, sit down, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, like, they're always on edge. And I guess that's, like, supposed to be flirtatious.
It's a bummer. No, they never have a genuinely happy moment ever, because it goes from, oh god, I shouldn't be with you, to, like, horrible longing, pining, like, I would move heaven and earth to be with you, just, like, tragedy, staring into each other's eyes, just, like, yearning.
Because I guess, like, he immediately goes into, like, stalker, overprotective behaviors. He
refers to himself as he is her guardian vampire. And he's like, hey, that's stupid. But he does it, like, a few times.
And also,
it's so stupid.
It's me, your guardian vampire.
Yeah. But I remember, like, being in love when I was, like, 16, 17 felt like that. Mm-hmm. It all felt like the end of Moulin Rouge all the time.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just me and the relationship I was in, but it just
Right.
felt like weeping, sobbing, holding each other in your arms, just like yearning, pining, the biggest feelings anyone's ever felt.
This movie does hit, I think, on like intimate and like emotional beats that are able to like entice a young adult or teen or preteen into like falling for this type of story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought this was like super romantic.
And it doesn't, this one movie, excluding the rest, kind of like toes that line of like being in love with this person who like finds you special but can't be with you, and there's like that sexual tension there, which then just turns into straight Mormonism. And like the next movies where he's just like, oh no, I can't fuck you, not because like I'm a vampire, but because like that's against my like religion and we have to
Literally, it's not against his religion. He just says he's old-fashioned and he wants to get married first. Let's be clear. We are putting the lens of Stephenie Meyers being a Mormon, and her belief system is it's like super clear throughout the series.
So fucking apparent.
Yeah, this series is also appallingly pro-life. But if we ever watch Breaking Dawn Part 1, I will write you all an essay.
I won't even be on the pod. It's just gonna be Jamie ranting. I'll be there, but just silent.
Just frowning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what didn't you like about it? After all that, I really think this movie could be spun into a horror movie. Do you want to do that thought experiment? How do we make this a horror movie? Because in my opinion, you put it from Charlie's point of view.
Yeah.
And then it's done. It's like your daughter comes, you're excited to see her. She starts falling in with this weird family. She gets like super injured after they break up. She's super upset. And then the guy, in the rest of the series, it would have to be like over more time. But in the rest of the series, boyfriend leaves. She has like crazy nightmares. She's depressed. She just like basically goes comatose. Then she starts kind of pulling it together again. Then she disappears, goes to Italy, comes back, gets married to this dude, then disappears for months and months and months, and the next time you see her, she's a supernatural being. She's like not the same person.
Yeah.
Crazy.
If you wanted to narrow it down to this movie, it would change the story, but pretty much like a girl foolishly falling in love with some mysterious boy and like forgiving him for his faults, but then finding out that he's like a stalker and like has bad tendencies and also is a vampire, so it's like hard to stop. And then you gotta like buckle down and then like ooh, and then like join up with your dad and then the werewolves to like save your life because this vampire wants to like fucking like,
oh my god, yes, and he's already a cop.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a gun.
But then at the end, he's like, I quit the force. And he says, a cab.
Turning in my badge. And then he and Carlisle kiss.
Oh my god.
He just wrote fan fiction.
And I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think that's why I know this is really just because I wanted to watch this movie and make Eric talk about it in this format with me. And he indulged me. But I think it's something. It's a pop culture event. Like, it did make an effect.
Yeah, okay.
This kind of started the love triangles, too. It was Twilight. Twilight did it, and then everything else was, like, Divergent? Yeah, Hunger Games? Yes. Yeah. Like, we just need to have one now.
And it's never, like, good.
Never good.
You can contradict me, but I don't think it's ever good.
Mm-mm. It's not even a love triangle, it's just a love line.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, well, Edward and Jacob do have some enhanced eye contact later, but that's not... Yeah, so what didn't you like about it, like, movie-wise? Maybe technically. Like, I'm interested in what you think about the choices they made for filming. And
there's definitely some bad shots. There's a scene where they're in, like, the garage, and it looks like it's just, like, a garage security cam. And it, like, immediately took me out. I was like, what the hell is this shot? There's a few shots in there that are confusing. The clothing isn't great. The wigs aren't great sometimes. The special effects are always baffling. Like, I think they try to, like, they indulged into it, unfortunately, because there's like a scene where he just goes to open up her car door and it's like, don't show that effect. That's a bad effect.
God, he goes like super fast. He's like
and it's not even like faster than just running around.
It's really funny.
They never are that fast. They always like seem faster, but it's like if you just sprinted you probably could keep up with them. I just like it's so like funny. I don't even think it's like a technical level, which I'll get into. I actually liked a lot of like what this film presented.
Yes,
but on like the biggest flaw of this movie is like story and acting.
Oof.
And that says, like, I really like current day Robert Pattinson, terrible in this role. I really like some of Kristen Stewart's work, terrible in this role. some of the vampires are just like baffling. Like Jasper just is just so fucking bad. I don't know what he's doing.
And then he like has a southern accent for the third movie. He didn't have one the whole time, and then we get his backstory.
Oops, forgot
and then yeah. And then he like has a crazy southern accent. It's very funny.
It's just like, and it's a bummer because I feel like there's good elements in this movie. And I will say, like, I like the look. Like, it feels like there's an intimate feeling to it. And it's like a very small movie, even though they have like all these different set pieces. And it's all really, like, all the houses are beautiful. You really feel like you're in like this kind of rainy Forks, Washington area. And like when they're not so caught up in like Edward being so like resistant to Bella and just letting them like have chemistry and act and like kiss each other and stuff like that, like it's there.
It was good. The kissing scene were like, okay.
And like prom is really fucking cute. Like I wish I had a prom there. The baseball scene is terrible.
What?
The baseball scene is so
People
fucking
are gonna
bad.
come for you. The baseball scene is iconic.
It's so bad.
It's pretty. I mean, I think it's kind of funny. It's fun.
It doesn't fit though. Like there's nothing else in this movie or the rest of the series that matches whatever that was. Like I would have liked the series a lot more if it ended in like the Vampire World Series Cup. Like that's where it went.
That's the sixth one.
Okay.
Stephanie Meyers, if you're listening, we want credit.
Yeah, Steph. We
know you're writing more Twilight books, you piece of shit. Stop it.
Breaking Ball.
Stop it.
Part 1. More like breaking balls, am I right? Am I right? Am I breaking balls?
Bella's just like an umpire. That's her new job.
Oh no.
I have seen some people like making Bella and Emmett chaos twins. That's what they're calling it because they're both kind of stupid. So when Bella's a vampire, just like their shenanigans and the dumb shit they do and how they like tease Edward and prank him.
That's cute. I
do like
fun.
it. Yeah, I like it.
That's more fun than the series takes itself.
Here, the thing I think too is the supporting cast. Like every other vampire is more exciting than Edward. Yeah. Edward's just like been a little bitch for 100 years, and they're like, he'll never find love. Oh no!
For a reason.
Yeah, because he sucks.
I feel like almost like, I mean, I would say nobody ever wants to like not say they don't like their kids, but I feel like Carlisle was kind of like, I fucked up with the first one.
No, he like kind of gay loves him. In Midnight Sun, there's like a whole scene where Carlisle like has a Christmas for them. Like he gets a Christmas tree and decorates it because it's Edward's first vampire Christmas, and he's like, I didn't want you to miss human stuff. No. And it's like, this what? Like it feels like
is it that, or is he just like taking pity? Because it feels like he's just like, Edward, you can't handle killing him. He's like, you guys, you're more competent and responsible.
I feel like it's like, no, Edward, you're my pure. They all
my pure little baby virginal boy.
Literally. So they all just talk about how good Edward is. It's all tell no show. Like they're just like, Edward, you have so much more self-control and you're so loving and wonderful and intelligent. We love you and you're the best. He never does anything good. He's just a little piss kid.
But that makes sense.
Forever.
Like we all know that parent who like treats that kid that way, and they're like a little shit kid, and they're like, you're the best kid ever. And the kid's just like, yeah.
I'm very interested in that. Also, Edward, like, I know we're getting into Midnight Sun territory, which is
a
not
lot
this
of
movie.
Midnight. You said.
I know. He like reads Rosalie's thoughts. He's like, she's just like a dumb bitch who just thinks she's hot all the time. But Rosalie is literally guarding her thoughts against Edward when she's near him because he doesn't want her in his brain. Like she's like, get out of my brain. So she's just thinking dumb stuff. He says her brain is a stagnant, like shallow pool. And I'm like,
cool move.
Because you're so.
That's your fucking sister.
Sucks. I think Rosalie's the most interesting character out of all of them.
Too bad the movies don't.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So the acting was not good.
Story bad.
Story real bad. I want to read the jet ski cut from Paramount. Okay.
If that exists, yeah. Release the jet ski cut.
Please. We need it.
Yeah, but no, I thought like it definitely has like its own look and lighting, and I understand like how people can get absorbed into that world. Mm-hmm. It's almost, I know, sorry to bring this up, but it's like a Twin Peaks-esque environment where you can
bring up Twin Peaks. That's okay.
I know, but I don't want to bring it up I feel like we bring up Lynch a lot. But like it's just like I want to like live in those worlds of like this like kind of like foresty.
Sounds like you need to move to Washington.
Nope, because
I
don't want one day where I'm like, finally sunlight. Where are all the hot people at? And they're like, oh, they go hiking. I'm like, mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you heard it here first. Do not trust hot people who hike.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
But all you ugly hikers out there, fucking
You're fine.
you're good.
Look, I've never heard of someone who gets murdered not hiking.
That's true.
It's always a hiker.
But yeah, and so there's some good shots in it that I liked.
Like what?
I can't think of them.
I'm honestly trying to think of a good shot in this movie. That's why I
feel like it was
asked.
competently shot, I guess. I don't know. It set a good mood environment.
Did you like the stunts?
No.
You thought they looked goobery?
They all looked, just the vampires were so dumb. Every time they moved, there's like a scene when the bad vampires like figure out that like Bella's there and she's a human. And they literally do like I would say it's like you would see it on What We Do in the Shadows, like TV
Yes!
show. Where they're
Yes!
all and they're just like crouched down and like hissing at each other. It's the dumbest thing.
They worked with a dance coach. And they also watched footage of like predator lions and like cats, like big cats, to try and move like.
It feels like they watched Cats.
You're right.
Because there's the moment when they're in the ballerina studio and like the family shows up and they like leap down. They do like a fucking.
It does look like cats.
The amount of quarter turns that they incorporate into their movement.
How are we talking about cats again?
But you gotta watch Cats.
Yes! Yes,
no!
we do!
I gotta be careful with my bits on this episode.
It really does feel like we're watching Cats. I can't believe it. You're right. And they're like, "It's time to introduce the new vampires. This is Alice. This is Jasper. This is my hot dad who I want to kiss a little bit." If you need a podcast to listen to, besides this one.
Jesus. If you're done with us and want to find a new podcast.
This was the final straw. There's a podcast called Into the Twilight, which I am obsessed with. They have been running it for 4 years, and it's about Twilight. And now they're reading through Midnight Sun. They're so fucking funny. They hate it as much as we do, but they also kind of love it. But they have an episode called "Fellas, Is It Gay to Love Your Dad?" Which is the Midnight Sun discussion of Carlisle and Edward. And it's worth listening to. So if you need more Twilight content, then we can give you. There you go.
Beautiful. Okay. I have a few questions for you, Jamie.
What's that?
First question, before I forget to ask it. What about this movie appeals to like what about this romance and like this movie appeals to like a younger demographic or even older? Because you were saying college age people were reading it too and getting into it.
So I didn't fuck with this movie. I did not like this movie when I saw it as a young person. I was like, this is a mockery of all things Twilight. I hated this movie.
Because you love the book so much?
No, because they're such fucking bad actors. Like I like laughed a lot. I was like, this sucks. And I didn't think Robert Pattinson was hot. I felt like there was no chemistry between them at all. I feel like watching it as an adult, like, now that I'm older than them too, I was like, they're so little, give them a break a little bit. But when I was like 13 when this came out. So I was like peak age. So I said earlier I didn't like the books. I kind of made myself like them because everyone else liked them. So I didn't genuinely like them, but then I kind of talked myself into it and then I did like them. But I didn't go as hard as some other people. And I kind of pivoted to making fun of it. Be like, Twilight's dumb. Ooh, people who like Twilight. Maybe, I pivoted that way. I think it's just like the being wanted by someone so hard. Like, because I remember being like a sad preteen. And I didn't like date anyone. Boys were like not interested in me. I was like way tall, or if they were, I never knew about it. I was like way taller than everybody. I was like the height I am now by the time I was 15. So, and everyone was really, I'm 5'10", and everyone was really short. And so I was just like not approached by boys, and it's just like someone, I think if you're like lonely and awkward and hormonal and horny and sad and angsty all the time, as you are, as a teen, preteen, you just want someone to like, just the idea of someone wanting you, I think is really appealing. Like Edward just being like, it's so dangerous, but I can't stay away with you because you're so appealing. And then Bella's just like, insert your face here. She has no personality. She's just like generic girl. It's really funny. She's not described in the books, which I think is very important. From her point of view, you don't know what she looks like. Besides, she has brown eyes and brown hair. And that's it. And that could be anybody.
Yeah.
Later, her facial features are described, and it's literally Stephenie Meyer's face. Down to a T. It's like wide-spaced eyes, wide, high cheekbones, like upper lip fuller than lower lip.
She's like, has a mirror next to her. And she's
literally.
Like, mm-hmm.
So when I read that, I was like, what the fuck? But, like, the book is made so that it's like, oh, just insert yourself here and then have, like, a...
That's like most, I think...
Yeah.
Heroes, right? It's just like a self-insert story.
Yeah, I
like
think
Luke
so,
Skywalker is the least interesting character in Star Wars.
I love Luke, but this is like it's just like someone could want you this much, you know, and you're like a little angsty tween, and it's like the hottest, most mysterious, sexy guy who's dangerous, wants you, wants to protect you. Well, yeah, I think the purity culture in this book is like in the movie is like. I don't know, it's wild to me. It's, like, super dangerous. As someone who had a promise ring, it's not good. Mm. It's just, like, yeah. Yeah, it's, like, the perfect storm. It's, like, everything, but then it's, like, oh, but then he's such a gentleman, and he loves her, and he wants to do things the right way, and that's getting married right out of high school.
No.
But I think that's it. I think it's just normal vampire shit too. Mm. But just like having someone like love you so much that they would do anything and do anything except like be decent or give you the thing you want. Because Edward thinks he doesn't have a soul, so he thinks like when you become a vampire, you lose your soul and you're going to hell. So he's like, I don't want to damn her soul to hell. Basically. 107
years, not a day of therapy, huh?
No. And he also can't like, I don't know. Yeah, it's like, it's not your call because you're choosing to be in her life, and he just wants to be in her life until she gets, like, old and dies. Like, like, the What We Do in the Shadows when he turns his, when he turns his love interest when she's old into a vampire. That's what Edward wants, and that's how the second movie begins. Bella sees herself super old, and then he's like, happy birthday, and she's like, no! And it's like, also I think the fear of aging is gross. It made me feel weird about getting older. Because I read it when I was younger, and I was like, oh my god, I don't want to get that old. Oh my god, 18? That's so old. Because she dies and becomes a vampire the day before her 19th birthday.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so young.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah. And it's just like, if you were the person you were dating when you were 16 or 17, you have to be with them for eternity.
I guess not, but like in Stephenie Meyer's world, yeah, you do, because divorce doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know. This goes into like vampire sex. Question.
It's like it's all about sex. Like people, it's not sexy. The books are not sexy. They never get into it. Even when they have sex, it literally fades to black. We don't even get the deets. Of course not. Everyone was so upset. Yeah. Yeah. But it's
shout out to Court of Thorn and Roses if you want your sexy scenes.
She's got them.
She's got a lot of them, and people love.
That's insane.
And they really do. A phenomenon of these films. Like Twilight was everywhere, and it was like parodied everywhere. There's so many moments in this movie that are like just like iconic, and like I kind of forgot about them because I feel like Twilight had kind of died away.
So overall, what do you think? What did this viewing do for you after horror movies? We've watched horror movies for the last 3 months. We watched one a week.
Yeah.
And then watching Twilight. What do you think?
I miss horror movies.
That's fair.
We'll
get back to them all too soon.
I guess was an interesting detour on taking traditionally horror elements and repurposing them and seeing how diverse the properties can be. And how
I feel like it did the opposite thing of Midsommar, where it took horror elements and like made them romantic, and Midsommar took like romantic set pieces and made them horror.
Yeah. Which I like the other way.
I do too.
Although I guess I can't say that because I like Guillermo del Toro stuff, and that's all he does. All he does in those movies is just like take traditional horror stuff and makes it like sympathetic and romantic.
he still has a sense of like spooky, danger, and like spookiness.
Which these movies could like. I feel like again, Stephenie Meyer should have been removed from these movies. She shouldn't have had any influence.
Give Bella a jet ski.
You could have tightened it up a little bit.
Give Bella a gun, a big fucking gun.
I thought her dad was, but he's just like, here's another pepper spray. He's just so
Oh my
pro-gun.
god, and then James is like breaking her leg and she just fucking shoots him. I
Girl!
don't know what would happen.
What if they're like, oh
nothing.
no, we can just die from guns too, by the way.
Wow, this podcast ends up being so pro-gun.
I was like, go for it when he had the shotgun and he was cleaning it out. I was like, good for you. Like,
don't
you
think
live
it
with
would-
vampires and werewolves.
Because they're like stone, so I think it would just take a
so
chunk off
dumb.
of them. That's not in vampire lore anywhere.
No.
Okay.
That's her own, like, she like literally made, like, these...
She just had a horny sex dream
I
and
don't
made it an
like
empire.
the idea of even calling them vampires. They should have a different name for them.
But then they wouldn't get the curb appeal.
Exactly. There's no there's nothing.
Yeah,
There's
I don't
nothing
like
about
I
it.
don't like how disrespectful she is to the genre. Like, if you're gonna play in that space and like market off of it, you know, and like bank off of that success, you better like.
She's just like the bad boy of
She's like the Gap wearing blazer khaki skirt
yeah.
of vampire stuff. It's just like you
Ooh.
can't be disrespectful to respect goths. In this house, we love and respect our goth elders. And
Yeah.
that's that. Like, you can't just not research anything you do and then just be like, oh, this is my thing and it's good and hot and sexy. You know, it
and then
sucks.
Stephanie Meyers, I know this probably wasn't intentional, but I take that as like a direct like F you to goths.
Yeah.
Because they take stabs at other vampires too. They're like Nosferatu, him looking like a traditional vampire, and that's how she fantasizes about it. And then,
Yeah.
which, by the way, no reaction to it. That's the bizarre thing too. That's like that. I mean,
To what? What?
she does all this research on vampires, and it's established that like vampires exist, like the vampire lore exists in this world. Like humans have
Yeah.
thought vampires existed, they interpreted, and that stuff.
This is our world,
Yes,
Eric.
that's true. Edward could be right around.
It's their
there.
world and we're just living in it.
Edward, is that you?
Coming into our podcast room, it's the Robert Pattinson tracksuit.
And then he's like, yeah, I'm a vampire. Look at me. And then he like sparkles in the sunlight. If I was her, I'd be like, oh god, you're gonna burn up. And then he's just like, no,
That's what
I
happens in the
sparkle.
book.
Oh, why take that out?
I don't know.
Because you needed to be more dramatic when he goes. I'm so sweaty.
Yeah, she does. She's like, oh my god, wait. And then she's like, wait, you're beautiful.
Oh, this sucks. Boo.
Do you want to hear the worst thing about Twilight somehow?
Mm-hmm.
They go on their sexy date where he's like, I'm going to show you who I really am, right? It's different in the movie. But he picks her up and he goes, we're matching. Beige sweaters, white button-down shirts. And that cosplay group, actually, they make TikToks and they're wearing the outfits from the book. And I'm like, you can't. I'll show you after.
That's like a cute little, like, that's like a dumb coworker thing that you do. Like, oh, we're matching today. Not like, oh, we're matching today.
It's like beige sweaters.
That happened to Stephanie Meyer at one point. She like went into her job and was wearing the same outfit as her coworker, and like, oh my god, this is so funny. She's like, yeah, it's funny, but also sexy.
It's like if that's our friend group, it's like, oh my god, you're wearing a black t-shirt. I'm wearing a black t-shirt.
Wow, we have
both
so much
wearing
in
black
common.
t-shirts right now.
Oh, we're both wearing all black right now.
Like, that's stupid.
We're the goths you're making fun of.
Yeah.
Do you see any sort of application from other horror movies to this movie, other than seeing the disrespect? Even though we haven't watched any other vampire movies.
I really don't think so. I do appreciate this movie is a lot moodier than the other Twilight movies. The other Twilight movies are just like action movies, which is baffling. They're not even romantic. This is the most romantic one by a long shot.
They lose the blue tint. And
They
they
do.
lose like the wetness of it. They lose like all. It's just like feels
Everything
like
that was
dry and
atmospheric
orange.
and good about it. Yeah, Edward is you're never scared of Edward for his presence. You're scared of him because he's a creep. But it's funny because the thing that's scary about Edward is the most human thing about him, which is his selfishness.
Yeah.
You know, like it's all that he's like, oh, I'm so inhumane, I'm a monster, I'm different. It's like the way you are behaving, like your selfishness and your own desires and your own unwillingness to like listen to another person and what they want, and like how you want to keep Bella the way you want her, like human and fragile and someone who has to be taken care of by you. Like that's the worst thing about you, and it's not being a vampire.
It's horrible. It's horrible because then you get Jacob in there. Like, okay, so Edward's like kind of has bad behavior, and then Jacob shows up. Like, okay, thank God. Like, she's gonna end up with Jacob, and then Jacob also shows bad behavior. So now she's stuck between two people who show terrible behavior,
and then all the other boys who are in love with her. It's just like every boy is in love with her immediately,
and also sucks in some.
And yeah, they all suck. This movie's for exactly Who was? It was for teenage girls
Yeah.
whose moms bought them tickets and took pictures with the Taylor Lautner cutout they had. Just me? No. A bunch of other people also.
No. For once, Jamie? No.
No. What are you going to rate it on scariness? What do we give Twilight?
As far as legit scares go, 0.
Okay.
As far as, like, conceptual
Yeah.
stuff goes, like, a 3.
Ooh.
Like, I'm truly terrified for Bella and her father. And, like,
Yeah, it's scary. It's super
like,
scary.
nobody, like, yeah. And then, as far as good scale, like, a 2.
That seems fair. That seems more than fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you enjoy watching it?
Yeah, I enjoy watching movies with you, Jamie.
Well, it's because we're fucking around.
We're fucking around.
Would you have enjoyed watching it by yourself, you think?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I had to, like, Jamie at multiple points was like, Eric, we just gotta watch this movie because you're missing so much. But, like, I literally need to, like, expel, because it, like, movies like this, when I watch movies where, like, they don't, like, fit with my logic, like, my brain gets a little, like, broke. And I just have to, like, spread out, like, this doesn't make sense, and this is why. Like, yeah. I need to do that so that way I stay in touch with reality. Otherwise, I'm gonna, like, show up the next day in, like, a beige outfit.
You're just so susceptible. You're like...
I just get broken. I just break.
So if I ever see you in khakis, I gotta shoot you.
Yeah.
I gotta rip your head
like
off.
You got the Twilight theme song starts playing, and then, like, you and all our friends come and just rip off my head and throw my body.
Okay, we'll do that for you.
Oh, thank you. What would you rate this movie?
I would, on scariness?
Yeah, sure.
Jesus, not like none.
0?
None scary.
None scary.
Yeah, I think, and also I think conceptually too, if you're just taking it as a movie, but like as a cultural phenomenon, this conversation has been had that we've had. We're not saying anything new. Like, people have discussed this, and I think as an adult, it's really easy to just see Edward as a little piss baby and nothing else. And Bella just as kind of a dumb, nice girl. I mean, she got what she wanted. She wanted to be a vampire. She said she never really fit in with other people.
She got what she wanted, but there's, like, a bigger monster behind her decision-making called Stephanie Meyers.
Correct. Yeah, it feels too... Yeah, they don't feel like characters. They don't feel like actual people. Like, yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I can't even rate this movie. I've seen it too many times. And I know too much about it. Let's stick with your rating. Okay. Yeah. Any last words about Twilight?
Never again.
That's not true. We gotta watch Breaking Down Part 2.
Oh, this is my horror movie. Ho, 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 boy. Well, that was certainly an episode. Thank you for tuning in and listening and joining us for the holidays. We always appreciate it over here at Horrorscope. And give us a follow at Horrorscope Pod with 2 Ds on Twitter and at Horrorscope Pod with 1 D on Instagram. Your horoscope for the day is... Hold your spider monkeys close this holiday season. 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 This